Sorry, can y'all see me?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Jones, just so Mr. Jones. All right, Mr. Jones, this is the state of Georgia versus Jabari Jones, charged and warrant numbers 2024 WA 0788 883, possession of drug-related objects. 2024 WA 07884, possession with the intent to distribute. 2024 WA 07885, possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute. 2024 WA 07886, trafficking. And 2024 WA 07887, failure to have license on person representing the state as ADA Thomas, representing the defendant is Attorney Rogers. Your witness, ADA Thomas.
Officer, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you shall give before the court today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Put your hand down. State your name for the record.
My name is Officer Miguel Estrada with the Morrow Police Department.
And were you so employed on or about the 10th day of November 2024?
I was.
And did you happen to come in contact with the Jabari Jones?
I did.
And was that at Lake Harbor Road at Jonesboro Road, confines of the city of Morrow?
It is.
And is that city of Morrow within Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
What brought you into contact with Mr. Estrada? I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Mr. Jones.
So on the specified date and time, I came into contact with Mr. Jones on a traffic stop that I initiated for an expired tag at the intersection of Lake Harbor Road and Jonesboro Road. I initiated the traffic stop with our final stop being at 6309 Jonesboro Road, in Morrow, Georgia, within Clayton County at the BP gas station. I encountered Mr. Jones on the traffic stop, introducing myself to him as a police officer with the city of Morrow, giving him my name and badge number. I spoke to him, and while speaking to Mr. Jones, who was the driver of the vehicle, I smelled a strong odor of marijuana coming from inside of the vehicle based off of my training and experience. I requested some additional officers to come out to the location to assist me with the traffic stop. Of course, Mr. Jones was subsequently asked to step out of the vehicle so we could do a search of the vehicle. Once we did a search of the vehicle, a large amount of marijuana was discovered, along with cocaine and ecstasy pills, as well as 2 small black scales that contained a green leafy substance residue on the scale portion of both of them, as well as a large amount of plastic bags, also known as sandwich bags, inside of a book bag inside the vehicle. Mr. Jones was subsequently checked through the National Crime Information Center, or Georgia Crime Information Center, and was discovered to have no license.
Hold on one second. Somehow I guess Miss Coleman had gotten off the
No, I'm using 2 devices now, Judge. My
Oh,
battery.
okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure you were getting it. All right. Continue. My apologies.
Okay. Where was I at? Oh, so subsequently, it was also discovered that Mr. Jones had an active warrant for his arrest. There was a handgun that was located inside of the vehicle. Of course, criminal history was conducted on Mr. Jones, due to the nature of the call that we were dealing with at the time, or the discovery at the time, and he was discovered to be a convicted felon. However, I did not charge him with that charge. Um, and of course, he was taken into custody and transported down to the Clayton County Jail.
ADA Thomas, anything further?
Yes, ma'am. Was there anyone else in the car, officer?
Yes, Mr. Jones' girlfriend was inside of the car. I can't recall her name off the top of my head. But she was inside of the vehicle at the time. They stated that they were on their way to work.
Okay. And the backpack was found where?
The book bag was located inside of the vehicle in the rear passenger side of the vehicle. Mr. Jones did subsequently admit that it was his book bag.
And did he indicate whether or not any of the items inside the book bag were those his too, or just the book bag itself?
He did claim everything that was inside the book bag to Lieutenant McFadden of the Morrow Police Department, describing each and every item that was inside of the book bag.
And he's charged with trafficking the marijuana.
He's charged with trafficking due to the large amount of drugs that we found in his possession.
The totality of the drugs or any one drug in particular?
Well, they were all felony amounts. The ecstasy, MDMA pills, the crack cocaine, and the marijuana.
So based on the sheer volume of drug objects, you charge him with trafficking?
That's correct.
Not one specific item.
No, ma'am.
Now, the weapon that was found, did he claim possession of that?
He claimed that he had no knowledge of the gun being inside of the vehicle. However, the gun was in his vicinity, in his close vicinity, underneath a blanket that was underneath the front right passenger of the vehicle.
Where was he positioned?
He was in the front driver's seat.
And where was the girlfriend positioned?
In the front passenger seat.
So she's sitting on the gun?
That's correct.
She was charged with possession of the weapon?
No, ma'am. She was not charged. She could not describe the make, model, or caliber of the handgun described.
And was he a felon? Were you able to confirm whether or not this defendant is in fact a convicted felon?
Yes,
I'd
yes, ma'am, we
object,
were.
Judge, I'd object to relevance. He's not charged with that. That's not what the hearing's about.
Your response, ADA Thomas?
That is correct, Your Honor. I'm trying to multitask. I missed that one.
Okay, all right.
Oh, no, 1 second. No, in the chair. This is yes. Oh, no, you're fine. Is that the rest of the? This is for. Okay. I'm sorry, Your Honor. We're trying to multitask here.
All right.
I know you said there was an assortment of items found. How were they packaged?
I can't recall exactly how they were packaged. I know the marijuana was packaged separately. The crack cocaine and MDMA pills were packaged separately, but together inside of a black plastic container that was located inside of the book bag.
And what about the marijuana?
The marijuana was located inside of a plastic bag inside of the book bag as well.
Was it individually packaged or just all in one big bag?
I can't recall off the top of my head right now, but it was a large amount that was located inside of the book bag.
And I believe you indicated, I believe that he was also charged with drug-related object. What would that object be?
The drug-related object would be the 2 scales that he had in his possession with suspected marijuana residue on top of the scales, which was, of course, a green leafy substance.
And that was-
Subsequent to his, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as well as his other charges that he was charged with, like a seatbelt violation, due to him having no seatbelt on at the time of the interaction, with the seatbelt still being buckled into the seatbelt buckle at the time of the traffic stop.
So he had the seatbelt buckled, but he was then sitting on it, on top of it?
That's correct.
Now, the drug-related objects, were they found inside of the backpack too, or they were just in the car?
They were located inside of the backpack as well with the other drugs.
And he admitted to you that he didn't have a license?
No, ma'am. I confirmed it through the Georgia Crime Information Center or National Crime Information Center using his name and date of birth.
Okay. And how were you able to confirm that the vehicle did not have a, that the vehicle's tag was expired?
I received a LPR hit from Axon. Of course, prior to engaging the traffic stop, I confirmed the tag through the Georgia Crime Information Center or National Crime Information Center.
Were you also able to confirm the no driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that the same way?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it his vehicle,
No, ma'am.
but he was operating it?
He had complete control of the motor vehicle at the time of the traffic stop.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that's all I have as officer. Reserve right for redirect.
All righty, go ahead. Cross Attorney Rogers.
Um, just argument, Judge. No cross, just argument.
All right, no cross, you say?
No, ma'am, just argument.
Okay, all righty. Closing arguments, ADA Thomas.
State will reserve, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Attorney Rogers.
Judge, I would start off, I'm asking for dismissal of the trafficking charge. There was
Dismiss
no,
what? Wait a minute, dismiss what?
for the dismissal of the trafficking charge, there was no testimony that would support a finding of trafficking. The basis given by the officer, that would be insufficient. Just the fact you have a few different kinds of drugs, anything like that, that's not a basis for trafficking. There, specific amounts that are specified. You have to have over a certain amount of certain substances. That was testified to, Judge. So it was no legal basis offered to support a charge of trafficking. As it relates to I guess the possession charges themselves, the possession of marijuana, possession of cocaine. I could be mistaken, but I don't recall hearing about a field test of any sort to support a finding of cocaine or marijuana. Nor any real discussion of what this officer's experience or expertise would allow them to ascertain from looking at it. The possession of drug-related objects, Judge. I think scales are a reach. It's not. We're talking about maybe some sort of syringe filled with heroin or some sort of pipe or something like that. But scales, I mean, that's when I if I was going to get some fish at the grocery store, they're gonna put it on the scale. That don't mean they're selling drugs or that the scale is related to drugs, Judge. So just the mere possession of scales, I think is a reach. I would submit as it relates to the driver's license charge and the testimony and the seatbelt. But like I said, I would ask for a dismissal of the trafficking just because there was no weight offered or assigned to any particular substance that would support that finding. Cocaine, I don't recall hearing about a field test. If I'm mistaken, I'm sure the state will, correct that. But for those reasons, I would ask that the possession charges and the trafficking charge be dismissed. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, ADA Thomas. You're muted. There you go.
Okay. Your Honor, I believe the officer, well, actually, what I'm going to respond to is the officer, I'm going to stand on his testimony at this point, Your Honor. He was fairly clear in that in the amount of narcotics that was involved, that the defendant did acknowledge ownership of the book bag that was found, and acknowledged possession of the book bag that was found, and that the tag was expired on the vehicle, that the defendant's license was expired, and that he had buckled the seatbelt behind him and not across him as required by law.
I can't talk. I'm in court.
So based on his testimony that the drug-related objects were found inside of the backpack that the defendant had claimed, state would contend that sufficient probable cause has been presented for all the charge, and will ask the court to transfer all charges to the Superior Court of Clayton County.
All right. All right, so based upon the evidence presented, I do not find probable cause for the trafficking. I mean, the statute is clear as to what the state considers trafficking. And if it's the marijuana, we would have to, or you'd have had to testify to 10 pounds. And so I'm not sure how or why all the drugs were just kind of thrown together, but the statute specifically states trafficking amounts, and officer did not make that, did not testify to that at all. I didn't hear anything about 10 pounds of marijuana. I didn't hear anything about specifically meeting the trafficking credentials. I just didn't hear it. So if I did, maybe someone could correct me right now, but I didn't hear anything about trafficking amounts. So I'm going to dismiss the trafficking, and I'm going to bind everything else over to the Superior Court of Clayton County. That's the order of the court. Thank you. All right, is that final? Is that the final one? Oh, we have one more.
Officer Estrada, thank you so much, okay?
No
You're done.
problem. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
You too. The last one, Your Honor, should be Laquel Scott.
Okay, all right, just hold tight. Deputy, if you could get Mr. Scott, please. All righty, and so we have, who is this in front of me? Is this Mr.? Is this Cortez? Wait,
It should be Mr. Scott. I would assume. And that's Mr. Lewis's case, I think.
Yes, yes, ma'am, it's Mr. Scott.
All right,
Mr.
let's go.
Scott, yes. All right. Mr. Scott. All right, let me get the paperwork, just one moment.
Judge, give me a breakout, if you will, with Madam Prosecutor while you get the paperwork.
Okay, all right, hold on. I'm gonna move you in, Attorney Lewis, will move you in one.
Okay, thanks.
DA Thomas, you about to go over there?
Oh, I know.
You're in room one.
Judge, stick me in the breakout room with the jail, please. Thank you.
Deputy, if you could join. Deputy, are you about to join room 2? Deputy, can you hear me? Young man, could you get the deputy, please? Hey, if you can join room 2. If you can join room 2.
Okay.
I said, if you can please join room 2.
Okay, I came back for that. Okay, I'm going back over.
Okay.
We're ready for this prelim.
You say you're ready?
Yes.
Okay.
We're waiting on the jail to come back.
Officer Mosby, can you turn your camera and your audio back on? Thank you. Attorney Lewis,
I'm ready. Go ahead.
we can't see you.
I know. I can't hold the camera up and type at the same time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're ready.
All right. All right, now calling the matter of LaKale Michael Rashawn Scott, State of Georgia versus LaKale Michael Rashawn Scott, charged in warrant numbers 2024 WA86871, burglary in the first degree, 2024 WA86872, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Oh, I'm sorry, commission of a felony. 2024 WA86873, possession of marijuana less than an ounce. But did I go back on YouTube? I need to make sure.
You never left, Judge. I don't think you ever left.
Gotcha. All right. (2024) WA86874, possession of drug-related items. 2024 WA86875, entering an auto. And 2024 WA86876, theft by taking. Representing the state, ADA Thomas. Representing the defendant, Attorney Lewis. Your witness, ADA Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Mosby, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you shall give before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Put your hand down and state your name for the record.
Officer M. Mosby
How are you employed?
with Clayton County Police Department as an officer.
And were you on duty on or about November the 9th of this year, 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you on patrol in the area of or on Lake Jodico Road at Camp Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that in the city of Jonesboro, Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you happen to respond to a address 2220 Emerald Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that location in the confines of Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
And why did you respond to that location? What was the nature of the call?
If I'm not mistaken, the initial call came out as a burglary. It was changed to a check location and then ultimately again changed to a burglary in reference to the owner of the resident stating that he arrived to check his residence, which was actually vacant or should have been vacant. When he arrived at the location, he indicated that he found an occupant inside of the home and needed the police to come and check the location. He also stated that he smelled the odor of marijuana inside of the home, indicating that someone had been inside of the home.
So the residence is currently not occupied.
It should not have been occupied.
However, when he arrived there, he smelled the odor of marijuana.
Yes, that's correct.
Had he been in the house smoking marijuana?
No, the owner indicated that he had not been in the house and he does not smoke marijuana.
Did you go into the house? When you arrived at the house, did you observe the odor of marijuana?
Yes, I did. It was present mostly in an upstairs bedroom, which also had urine in a toilet, which the owner indicated he had not urinated in that toilet.
Okay. Was the owner with you when you were checking the house out?
No, we don't permit owners to check a premise with us. Only officers will check as we have our weapons drawn while we check.
Okay. So he indicated he had not been in the house and he had not used the restroom.
That's correct.
Had he given anyone else permission to be inside of the residence?
No, ma'am. Oh, well, his what do you call it? The lawn people. They maintain the property, but not that date.
The maintenance people are the only ones who were supposed to be in the property?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, did you find someone in the property, or were you able to determine who entered the property?
After further investigation, eventually we were able to, using surveillance footage, determine that someone had been in the property. But when we checked the property, no one was inside of the property.
Now, what did you see, if anything, on the surveillance footage?
Surveillance footage showed a suspect exiting the property, entering the property, and entering a vehicle that was parked on the property.
And the vehicle on the property, who did that belong to?
The vehicle on the property belonged to the lawn maintenance staff.
So they were on the property doing what they were hired to do?
That's correct.
Have they given anyone other than their staff permission to enter their vehicle?
No, ma'am.
Was anything removed from their vehicle?
Yes, a Motorola cell phone as well as a wallet.
Okay. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. You said that there was video footage of the person who entered the home.
That's correct.
Now, was this footage inside the house or outside the house, or both?
The footage is a camera that captures motion outside of the home.
Okay. Did it capture the person who entered the home entering the home?
The surveillance footage, based on the way the camera was placed, actually a reflection from the lawn maintenance staff member's vehicle captured the suspect entering the home.
So you can see it because of that.
And see the suspect entering the doorway of the residence as well as exiting the doorway of the residence and crouching within the doorway of the residence.
Crouching, like squatting, like trying.
Crouching down, waiting for the lawn maintenance staff member to pass in order for him to wait for a safe time to enter the vehicle.
Does that video show him entering the vehicle, the lawn person's vehicle?
Yes, on the passenger side.
Does it show him taking stuff out of the vehicle?
No, I could not see him taking anything out of the vehicle.
But the person with the lawn guy was able to say that items were removed from his vehicle?
That is correct.
Now, when you got there, I believe you previously testified that the defendant was not there, that the person who entered the house, I'm sorry, was not there, correct?
We did not observe him inside of the home.
How was he detained?
Based on the description that was provided, as well as the surveillance footage, officers circulated the surrounding area for the described suspect, as it seemed that he had left the location moments prior to the officers' arrival. The suspect was subsequently located within the vicinity, approximately 0.2 miles away from the home.
And when you say located, what was he doing?
He was walking through the neighborhood.
And was there anything about him that alerted you all that this is the guy we're looking for?
Yes, he was wearing the same clothing.
The clothing that was observed on the video camera?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming that he was detained.
Yes, ma'am.
And did he make any statements to you all as to what was going on, or as to what happened at the incident location?
He stated that his address was in the area. However, the address that he provided to me didn't align with that. He stated that he was on his way to work, which was at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, which would have been several hours walk from the location. He then stated that he was going to meet with a female in East Point, which also would have been a several hours walk from the location. He also stated that he worked for an employer that I subsequently Googled, and that employer didn't exist. He also had a firearm on him. I asked if he had planned to enter the airport with a firearm on him and the green leafy substance on his person.
Okay,
He didn't have any.
Did he have a backpack or something on him?
Yes, he did.
Where was the weapon found?
The weapon was inside of the backpack, if I'm not mistaken.
And you mentioned a green leafy substance.
Yes, ma'am.
Where was that found?
That was also in the backpack along with a scale.
How much green leafy substance?
It was less than an ounce.
Okay. Did he indicate who the backpack belonged to?
The backpack was on his person, therefore we presumed that it was his backpack.
Okay. So he indicated that he was going to work. Was he walking to work?
That's what he stated, and then he stated that he planned on catching some bus. I'm not sure which bus, but yes.
Did he indicate what time he was supposed to be at work?
Yes, he said, if I'm not mistaken, he was due to be at work at 10 a.m. At the time that I encountered him, he would not have made it to Atlanta Airport by 10 a.m. And we did advise him of that.
What time did you all encounter him?
I want to say it was around like 9:15 in the morning. The initial call came out at around 8:38 a.m.
And do you happen to recall how long it would take to get from where he was to the airport?
If he was walking, it would have taken him several hours. If he was to ride a bus, it also would have taken approximately, when I looked up on Google, approximately 2 hours.
Okay. Did you ask him about the incident that happened at 2220 Emerald Drive?
Yes, I did read him Miranda, at which point he agreed to speak and he continued to deny his relation to that residence.
Did you take him back to the residence?
No, ma'am.
What happened to him?
I took him into custody at that point in time. We also met with I spoke with the owner of the pickup truck that had been entered, which items were removed from, and he confirmed that the items were removed. Once I had all of those testimonies pieced together, I did then take him to the jail.
And when you say testimony, did you take written statements of what happened?
We obtained a written statement from the owner of 2220. I obtained a verbal statement because the other victim wasn't present on scene. I obtained a recorded statement from him, which was captured on my body-worn camera.
Were you able to get a copy of the surveillance video?
Yes, I did. I attached those to the report as well.
And all those are in police evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the person that you saw on the video, let me rephrase the question. The person that you stopped, did his attire or is there anything about him that matched that video that you observed?
It was the same exact clothing.
What about his physical description? Did that conform or could you tell?
From the video, it appeared to be a light complexioned black male, approximately at least over 5'9" in height and a thin build, which
Okay.
did match that of Mr. Scott.
And do you see anyone in court today that fits that description, at least the physical appearance?
Yes, we have the individual in Clayton County Jail custody wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Otherwise, that's the same person you saw?
That's correct.
Okay. The lawn care person, was any of his items recovered, his wallet or anything like that?
No, ma'am. I attempted to ask Mr. Scott if he could simply return the wallet if he did have it, because the victim in that pertaining to that stated that it was very hard for him to get a Georgia driver's license. He had just become a citizen. Mr. Scott said that he could not return the wallet, and if I'm not mistaken, he offered to return something else, but I told him that would be okay. The individual only wanted his ID back.
And when he indicated he couldn't return the wallet, did he say why?
He said that he didn't know anything about a wallet.
Did he ever acknowledge going on the property or going into the house or anything?
No, after a certain amount of time of him denying the allegations, I decided to stop even pursuing it.
Okay. So he told you all he had nothing to do with it?
That's correct.
Okay. And when you decided that after a certain, I believe you put a certain amount of denials, what did you do next, if anything?
I continued to collect evidence tying him to the incident, such as surveillance. And once I decided that I had enough probable cause to confirm that he was the suspect and the description and evidence collected matched, then I did transport him to the jail.
Okay,
Such as the backpack that he had did contain the sweatshirt that was captured on surveillance footage. He was wearing the same clothing, and the clothing that we found him in actually also matched another surveillance footage of him on the property as well.
okay. So it was there are multiple, there's multiple video footage of him on the property,
Yes, ma'am.
and he had on the same thing in each one?
So in one video, he has on a white or light colored hooded sweatshirt that was thin, and Adidas track pants, as well as white Nike sneakers. He was wearing that at the time that we encountered him. Another video captured him wearing a dark colored hooded sweatshirt with an image printed across the center of the shirt, and the same black and white Adidas track pants and the same white Nike sneakers. Those items were in his backpack. The hoodie was in his backpack as well.
So he, at some point in time, changed clothes?
That's correct. He's captured on video coming out in one outfit and then leaving in a different outfit.
But the other outfit was recovered in his possession?
That is correct.
Okay. One more question. How many surveillance videos did you all recover?
It was, I could have saved more, but by the time I was trying to attach all of them to the report, I probably had about 5.
And these are just various cameras from around the property?
Various views of him and what he was doing on the property, such as entering the vehicle that was parked on the property.
Okay. And was anything taken from the house? I know we've discussed what was taken from the truck, but was anything removed from the home?
Yes, the owner of the home indicated that several bottles of water were removed from the home.
Had he given anyone permission to take anything out of the home, refrigerator, anything?
No, he did not.
Does he know this young man at all?
No, he does not know him.
Does his lawn maintenance person, that victim, does he know him at all?
No, they did not.
Did either of them give him permission to enter the property?
No, they did not.
And he was not able to return anything?
That's correct.
Now, you indicated that clothing was recovered from his backpack. That was, I'm presuming, his clothing?
That's correct.
Was there anything else found in that backpack?
Yes, there was the scale that I indicated previously, as well as the firearm, green leafy substance. There was a wallet that he did state was not his. If I'm not mistaken, it was a Coach wallet. Mr. Scott did indicate that that wasn't his. And then there was a brand new cell phone as well as a business card with the cell phone. He stated that he had just gotten the cell phone like the day prior.
And were you able to confirm that?
I did have an officer go to the Metro PCS location and confirm that he was on camera purchasing the cell phone, and I believe he purchased it in cash. We couldn't confirm if the purchase was related to the entering auto victim's cell phone, if it had been turned in for money or not.
Okay. One second, John. I'm trying to make sure I've got everything covered. Oh, the weapon. Was it loaded?
Yes, it was. It had several 9mm bullets in it.
You know, I believe that's all I have reserved right for redirect.
Go ahead, Attorney Lewis.
Thank you, Officer Mosley. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool beans. I heard you say officer and not detective. Did I hear correctly?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yes, I'm an officer, not a detective.
Okay. All right. I figured you'd been promoted by now. All right, let me ask some very specific questions. Your call out time to the location is 9:38 a.m.
No, I believe I stated 8:38 a.m.
8:38. Okay, that's what was causing me some problems. Your time of encountering the person that you arrested was at 9:50 or 9:15?
I believe I stated 9:15. However, I was not the initial officer that made contact with Mr. Scott. That was my sergeant that initially made contact with Mr. Scott.
Mm-hmm. And do you know what time your sergeant made contact?
It was probably within 15 minutes from the time that we were initially called out to the incident location. I wasn't able to get to him for an extended period of time because I was still at the location checking the residents.
I got you. But the sergeant encountered him, you believe, before 9 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. And who's the sergeant that had this encounter with him?
His name is Sergeant Santos.
Santos. Okay, good deal. All right. When Santos encountered the defendant, did Santos maintain surveillance of him, or did he ever let him out of his sight before you got there?
No, he never let him out of the site, and he also called for additional officers to come assist him.
Okay. And did Santos perform a search of the defendant?
I'm not sure if he performed a search of the defendant. However, I did perform a search of the defendant upon my arrival.
Did Santos say that anyone else had recovered anything from the defendant?
He stated that the defendant had mentioned that he had a firearm on his person. When I arrived on scene, I immediately asked, "Where is the firearm?" I was informed that it was in the backpack. I immediately removed it from the backpack in order to remove it from the premises of us and the defendant.
The defendant still had possession of the backpack when you arrived?
It was within arm's reach, therefore I removed everything from arm's reach when I
Where
arrived.
was it? How far from him was the backpack when you arrived?
He was leaning on the hood of the vehicle and the backpack was on the hood of the vehicle.
Okay, understood. Was the backpack closed?
If I'm not mistaken, it was zipped closed.
Okay, understood. Let's go back to the home itself. I heard you to say you had 5 surveillance videos that you were able to procure and save. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You saw more than 5 videos. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. In any of those videos you saw, the 5 you saved and the 5 and those that you did not, did you see the defendant go into the home?
Yes, as I mentioned before, captured in the reflection of the lawn maintenance staff member's vehicle, it shows the defendant walking into the home and coming out of the home.
Okay. So how long was the defendant in the home?
I can't recall because I didn't capture the timestamp. I don't want to give the wrong figure.
Was there a timestamp?
Yes, there was a timestamp on the videos. However, I had to record the video using my county phone.
Right. You recorded using your county phone and not your body cam?
The thing is, so it's all on my body worn, but
Uh-huh.
so I wanted to attach the video to the report, which means I had to
Okay.
also record using an additional source.
I got you. I got you. And did you have an opportunity to review that video prior to attaching it?
Yes.
Was the timestamp preserved?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Right. It was the timestamp preserved.
Yes, the
Could you
timestamp was
still
on the
see it?
videos.
Okay, you could still see it.
Yes, sir. Hold on. I have to mute myself real quick.
All right, gotcha.
Sorry about that. I had to remove my dog from the room.
No, it's good.
Repeat
You
that
good.
question.
All right. So when you looked at your recording of the defendants going into and coming out of the home, you could see the timestamp on there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And that should be on my body worn as well.
Could you see the defendant clearly when the defendant's coming out of the home, or are you all still looking at a reflection?
Some of it was in a reflection, and some of it was when he turned his head after entering the vehicle, you could see his side profile and eventually the front of his face.
All right, wonderful. Did he have the backpack on at that time?
Yes, he did.
All right, wonderful. Did you see any bottles of water in the defendant's possession?
He wasn't carrying any water.
Okay, good enough. Now, I heard you say that you could see the defendant going into the car of the lawn man. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And if I remember correctly, the lawn man was not on scene at the time that the car was being entered into. Is that correct?
Hold on, can you repeat that?
Yes. I understood you to say the lawn man was not on scene at the time that the car was being entered into. Is that correct?
Well, he was on scene. He was cutting the grass.
Oh, so he was there at the time.
Yes, he was in
All
a
right.
different area of the yard, so he didn't observe the suspect entering or defendant
I,
entering the
I,
vehicle.
I see. I see. And when you got there, when you actually arrived on scene, the lawn man had left or he was still there?
When I arrived on scene, he was gone. That incident was the day prior.
All right. So the entire behavior that you're out there to investigate and then make an arrest on, those occur the day before the day that you're actually on scene. Is that right?
No. So we arrived on scene in reference to the owner of 2220 entering his home and indicating that there was someone inside of the home that had then exited the home. And then when he went inside the home, he smelled the odor of marijuana. That happened
Yeah.
that day. However,
Yes,
his yard had been maintained or tended to the day prior.
I've got it now. I've got it. So we actually have two different dates of events having occurred. The one that you're there to investigate is occurring on the same day that you're there, and the other the event of the theft occurring outside of the from the maintenance vehicle that's occurring the prior day.
Yes, and those dates should be indicated on the warrants as well.
I got
All
you.
right, can I
got
get,
you.
hold on 1 second, Attorney Lewis, my apologies, hold on one moment. All right, my apologies, go ahead.
It's all right. All right, Officer Mosby. So now that we've got it separated out that there are two events that are occurring on two different days, let me go back and ask some clarifying questions for my benefit and maybe for the courts as well. When you say that you see the defendant entering into the home, or what you describe as a home, in the reflection of the automobile, that's on a day before the day that you are actually there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then on the day that you are actually there, there is no lawn service vehicle that is there. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And so on the day that you are actually there, when you look at the surveillance camera footage, I'm assuming, how much of what you've testified so far is about the prior day, and how much is about the day that you're actually there on scene?
The charges in reference to the day prior or the lawn maintenance staff member's vehicle is the entering auto, and the removal of the theft by taking from the vehicle.
Understood. On the day of your actual arrival on scene, do you see footage of the defendant exiting or entering the home at that point in time?
You see footage of him running across the front lawn, wearing the
Mhm.
outfit that we located him in.
Yes, ma'am. I've got that part. But what about going in and out of the home?
I cannot recall.
Okay, gotcha. Now, earlier you testified about Metro PCS and a telephone that you found on the pack, and you said the day before he's seen going into the Metro PCS. Is this the day before the entering auto day,
It's
or
the
on the same day of the entering auto?
it's the same day.
Same day, gotcha. And the how far away is this Metro PCS?
Not walking distance.
Not walking distance. All right.
To me, I'm
I
sorry,
got
that's
you.
subjective. Maybe he walks far.
We're not fighting with you on that. All right. So you see the defendant on the footage of the Metro PCS. Is that correct?
As per the other officer that went to that location, yes, that's
Mhm.
correct.
Okay, so you didn't visit, someone else visited. Is that right?
That's correct. You can't leave a location if you have a suspect in custody.
Sounds good to me. And tell me, who was that officer that visited Metro PCS?
That was Officer S. Thomas.
And what time does Officer S. Thomas say he see an image of the defendant at the Metro PCS?
As per the timestamp, or what time did he respond to Metro PCS?
No, as per the timestamp.
I cannot recall.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's go on back to the house itself. At the time that you see the defendant entering the home, is the home secured?
The home should have or was believed to have been secured by the homeowner.
What you mean it should have and is believed to have been? Why do you say it that way, officer?
Are you referring to the day that we responded to check the residence, or are you referring to the previous day?
I'm referring to the date that you see the image of the defendant entering into the home by way of reflection from the lawn care person's vehicle.
So the homeowner advised that he secured his residence prior to leaving it the last time that he had been there.
And when was the last time he had been there?
I cannot recall.
Okay. Did you by chance ask him that, or you just don't remember his answer?
I did ask him, and I cannot recall his response.
Gotcha. And do you see any signs of forced entry?
I don't believe so. No, I'm pretty sure there was not.
Okay. Were any tests performed inside the home? Fingerprint, footprint, tool marks, tire marks, any of that kind of good stuff?
No, we didn't.
DNA? None of
No,
that
sir.
stuff. Okay. As far as the inside of the home, I heard you speak of the use of the restroom facilities on the upstairs. Is that right?
That's correct.
No other destruction inside the home?
No, sir.
All right. How about marijuana residue? I heard you talk about smell. What about residue?
There was some within the bathroom, if I'm not mistaken, on the sink area, but it was nothing that couldn't have been washed up, cleaned up.
I got you. I got you. All right. And then out to the car of the lawn person. The items none of the items, if I'm correct, none of the items that were allegedly taken from the lawn care person's automobile are in the possession of the defendant. Is that right?
At the time which we made contact with the defendant, those items were not in his possession.
And to your knowledge, they weren't ever in his possession. Is that correct?
I can't confirm that.
Got it. But you can't deny it either.
I'm not sure. That's why I had the officer follow up at Metro PCS to find out if the lawn person's phone had been turned in for another phone, traded, or any sort. And I also tried to confirm with the lawn person the description of his wallet, because there was a wallet in the defendant's backpack, which he indicated was not his, a Coach wallet. But the victim, the lawn person, stated that his wallet was not a Coach wallet. So I don't know whose wallet that was.
I got you. So let's talk about what S. Thomas observes when he gets there, other than just the footage of the defendant. Do you see a picture of the driver's license or ID of the person who had just become a citizen, and that was the lawn care worker? Do you see that in any of those images?
Do I see the defendant present the victim's license at Metro PCS?
No, it doesn't have to be presented, it's just evident. Pull it out of his pocket, throw it in the trash can, burn
I'm
it
not
up.
sure, sir. I was just looking to confirm that he had been at the Metro PCS.
I got you. What about the lawn man's wallet? Do you see that on the film?
I'm not sure, because I wasn't looking for that. I simply asked if he was in the presence of the Metro PCS business.
Okay, I got you. So if S. Thomas had seen it, you believe S. Thomas would have reported that to you?
Yes, he probably would have.
Okay. All right. And S. Thomas did not report that to you. Is that correct?
That's correct, but he also didn't know the description of the wallet. I obtained that information later on.
Got it. Let me ask another question, and I thought this rather peculiar. You said that the defendant said that he was going to be getting a ride to his airport job. Is that right?
He actually stated that he was planning on catching a specific bus that was on Terra Boulevard.
Okay. How far away is Terra Boulevard from this place?
It was a 44-minute walk.
44-minute walk. And about how far away was Metro PCS from this place?
Same, I guess more or less, maybe 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Officer Mosley. Appreciate you. That's it, Judge.
Redirect. Judge, you're on mute.
Redirect. Redirect.
I'm going to be as brief as I can. Officers, to the best of the victim's recollection, was his home secure?
Yes.
To the best of the lawn person, the other victim, was his truck secure?
He didn't believe that he had to leave his truck secure because he was on the property and didn't intend in that neighborhood for anyone to be entering his vehicle. So no, I don't think he planned to have to lock his vehicle.
He gave no one permission to enter his vehicle?
That is correct.
Did he give anyone permission to take anything from his vehicle?
No, he did not.
Okay. And was anything recovered?
Nothing was recovered.
And I do apologize to the court for overlapping the days, but is it, from what I'm hearing, was the defendant there 2 days?
From what we gathered, yes, at least 2 days.
And does the video footage corroborate that he was on the premises 2 days?
The timestamp on the footage indicates that he was there the day prior to our presence, as well as the day that we were present.
Okay. That's all I have.
Recross, Judge, on that last issue there. Officer Mosby, the video footage confirmed that he entered the home the day before. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But it did not confirm that he entered the home the second day. Is that correct?
It shows him exiting from the area of the doorway on the day that we responded to the location.
Okay, but not exiting out of the home, correct?
Exiting the area of the doorway of the home the day that we were present.
The day that you were present. So it was my understanding from the testimony that you had motion activated video. Is that right?
I believe it's motion activated.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, when you say area of the doorway, what do you mean?
So it's like a
In feet.
how can I explain? Like the doorways that have almost like a hallway leading up to the door. Like the
Yes.
door is sunken back.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I mean, the area of the
All right.
doorway.
So you're able to see him against the outer face of the home. Is that correct on the day that you show up?
Yes.
Okay.
I understand the question correctly.
Well, being that there's a hallway, I'm assuming you're saying I can't see into the hallway. Is that right?
So in that video, because there was no opportunity for reflection, because there was no car parked there, I didn't have the same view that I had when the car was parked there with the reflection.
Right. So you couldn't see into the hallway.
That's correct.
Right. So you're only able to see the outer surface of the home and whatever is against that, right?
The area of the doorway, as I stated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And okay, thank you. That's what I needed.
Mhm.
Judge, I
ADA
think
Thomas?
this.
Any redirect?
No, ma'am.
All right, closing arguments. ADA
No,
Thomas?
Judge, let me talk to my client, please, in a breakout.
Okay.
Thank you. I think we're already in there. If you just have the jail go in there.
Yeah, so Deputy, if you would join room 2.
All right, Judge, thank you for your patience. Defense rest.
Judge? Judge Case Johnson,
Yes,
I believe,
Defense rest.
say that again.
Defense rest.
Defense rest, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right. ADA Thomas, you want to do the closing arguments?
I will actually, Your Honor, I'm gonna stand on the testimony of the officer.
All righty. Attorney Lewis?
Yes, Judge, very briefly. Judge, will submit on the burglary. We do not know if it constitutes burglary first, but we're going to submit that you can get there on this. Also, the entering auto charge as well. Officer Mosby gave us enough on that to suggest that there's a possibility that there is a entering of the auto. Officer Mosby does not give us enough to suggest that there is a separate theft, however, that takes place other than what is coming from the entering auto. So I submit to the court that all the facts are used up in either one or the other. The phone, the wallet, the cash are allegedly in the car. Entering auto says entering an automobile for the purposes of committing a theft therein. Theft by taking says, of course, exactly that same thing, except it leaves off the part about the automobile. So I would submit to the court that that the entering auto is the charge that if in fact what Officer Mosby has testified to is correct, that is the charge that should be there and not a separate theft by taking. With respect to the drug objects and the possession of less than an ounce of marijuana, Judge, we submit to the testimony on that. With respect, however, to the possession of a firearm during the commission of the crime, Judge, there is no crime, no testimony that this defendant ever possessed a firearm during the commission of any of the enumerated crimes as identified in the section that deals with possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. There is an allegation that he possesses a firearm when he is encountered at some point in time, either by the sergeant or by Mosby, that time being before 9 a.m. by the sergeant, and around 9:15-ish or so by Officer Mosby. Judge, this whole case, of course, is one that'll have to be worked out in Superior Court, but the premises, the impetus of this case is that this young man gives a description of where he is going at a time that he would have some difficulty getting there. And that description is based upon the fact that the airport is 45 minutes or so away, 44. But then we also learned that he does get around because he makes it from the Metro PCS to this area, and the Metro PCS is approximately 44 or 45 minutes away. What is peculiar to me, Judge, is that the claim is that he was there at the home on the day before, went to the Metro PCS on the day before, returned back to the home on the next day, then found in near proximity to the home by the sergeant, and yet there's nothing from either the home or the car that is on this particular person. What I suspect, if in fact he entered the home, is a case of vagrancy. What I suspect is getting in out of cold weather. But what I do not see any evidence of is a theft, entering the home for the purposes of committing a felony or theft therein. That's not there. Not even empty bottles are even spoken of, such as water being drank while you're in the home, and there's no empty bottles that he's alleged to have taken from the home on any video. And although there is a claim that he has a wallet in his possession that does not belong to him, it is not the wallet of the lawn care service worker, and the lawn care service worker's wallet is not in his possession. So, Your Honor, I leave it to your discretion as to what you do with those things. But with respect to the firearm, there is no claim that a firearm was ever even present at the time of any of the events that are claimed to have occurred, that being a burglary or an entering auto. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, ADA Thomas.
Your Honor, I'm going to be as brief as I can. Regarding the theft aspect of the burglary, we do have the victim's testimony as presented by the officer, that multiple bottles of water were removed from his refrigerator without his permission. That's theft. And we don't have to show, oh, they recovered the water bottles in his possession. That proves it. If the victim is saying, I had water bottles in my home prior to this young man entering, after he enters, these items are removed, there's nothing to show to anyone other than this young man was in my house, that's theft. Your Honor, and I understand that apparently he's able to get around Clayton County. However, what he relayed to the officers as to his destinations were improbable at best, which does appear to show that he was in the process, that he was just trying to come up with something to explain that he was on the premises of this home without the permission or authority of the owner of the home, or the permission or authority of the lawn care person who was just there to perform a service. Your Honor, I would contend that this incident happened over the course of multiple days, and various videos capture the young man on or about the property on that multiple days. One video actually shows him going into the lawn care person's vehicle. Even though the video does not show him removing items, it can be presumed that the items were there, and then he's there, and then the items are gone. It is more likely than not he's the one that did the taking. State would ask that the court transfer the case in its entirety to the Superior Court of Fulton County. Excuse me, Clayton County. It's been a long day.
A long day. All right. All right, based on evidence presented, I'm going to bind all the charges over except 6872 and 6876. And that is the firearm and 76 theft by taking. So that's the order of the court. I'm binding the rest over 1, 2, 3, the remaining 4 charges.
We got it, Judge.
All right.
All right. Are we